If you haven't created your vision board yet for 2026, you're in the right place, because now your vision board is not going to suck and be a huge waste of time and just pretty pictures in a collage. That doesn't do anything for our goals or what we actually want to intend to focus on in 2026. A pretty collage of photos is now what helps us bring our goals into reality, but I'm going to tell you what works. First, you have to do a little bit of reflection. So before you ever even start looking at photos or cutting magazines or looking at Pinterest, you first have to reflect. A nice brain dump moment, journaling, if you will. You have to look at the year before. Okay, look at 2025. How did that go? Evaluate based on your categories, okay? Financially, career-wise, relationships, friendships, lifestyle. Take a look at all of it. Let's take stock and inventory. So celebrate your wins, recognize the wins, acknowledge them, acknowledge the failures. Where did I fall short? And then based on all of these categories, health, relationship, finance, money, career, all the things, now start making some goals for next year. How would you like this next year to appear? How would you like this next 1 to 2 years, I would say, is a really good timeline to keep it more realistic and make it feel like it's within grasp to actually achieve some of these goals that you want to put on your vision board. You have to break these categories down into about 2 or 3 goals per category. What are some milestones I'd like to achieve? And pro tip, if you're a little lost on what the categories need to look like, just ask yourself these 3 questions. Who do I want to be? How do I want to live day to day? And what do I want to do? What do I want to spend my time in my life doing? All right, who do I want to be? How do I want to live? And what do I want to do? Those are 3 amazing questions to reflect on that will help you kind of carve out the different categories in your life and how you'd like to see them materialize. Those are 3 amazing questions that will help you kind of identify what categories in your life you really care to focus on. Once you have these goals set out in your different categories, what's really important is one step further, and this is the part that is backed by neuroscience to really bring your manifestations to light, is to start thinking about, in order to get to that goal, what are some actions and habits? What are some action steps and daily habits that I need to start developing in order to achieve that goal? So this starts to bring the day-to-day reality of actually getting there and actually having that become a reality. It brings it to light and it actually makes it feel more realistic to you. So you really start to believe, okay, you start to see, well, if I'm taking these action steps and I'm developing these habits, there's no way I won't get to my goal. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find imagery that relates to that habit or those action steps. So you're not just putting on your vision board the end goal of, okay, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. You're going to put the daily steps that it's going to take. So say your goal is to lose 100 pounds. That is going to mean I am going to have dedicated time in the gym. Maybe I go to Pilates. I'm more active outside, going on hikes. I'm enjoying nutritious, healthy foods. I completely changed my diet. And what you're going to do is you really want to create imagery around those habits, okay? So it seems so much more attainable. So you can certainly find imagery that demonstrates your end goal, the loss of 100 pounds. But also adding in imagery of those daily habits that are going to get you to that goal, that's where it's really going to all come together. And it's really important to have both. Another thing that I find really helpful is to find images, and Pinterest is a great way to do this because then you're not searching through 100 magazines that you end up not using anything from, that you just paid $15 for this magazine. Well, now you can just collect the images on Pinterest, and then you can actually put them into a little PDF, print them off. You can use things like Canva to actually create the collage. Pro tip for selecting the images that you're going to use in your collage, okay? First of all, it's much more effective to use images that are like POV, something that you're looking at, okay? So it's not necessarily somebody else's face doing Pilates, right? That might cause a little bit of a disconnect. You might associate somebody else is doing Pilates. But if you see a POV image of you on the Pilates reformer or on the yoga mat or looking at dumbbells. It's going to help you really kind of integrate that a little bit more than feeling disconnected from it as if somebody else is living this life, right? We want this vision board to feel like this is our life that I'm living in with all of these habits that are going to bring you to my goal. So try to avoid other people's faces. If it's your dream body, cut the head off. It'll be easier, I promise, to visualize yourself. Maybe put your own head on there. Another thing I would highly suggest is do this process alone. But it's way more effective if you lock in alone and you reflect alone and you really think about this and have a deep dive with yourself. Also, when other people are around, sometimes we have a tendency to dim our light because we don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. We want to just kind of downplay our goals and our ambitions, or we don't want to sound silly, or we don't want people to think that we're reaching too high. Sometimes that can happen in a group setting. So if you are doing it with somebody else, just make sure it's somebody that you totally trust and that has no judgment and isn't somebody that's trying to dim your light. I would also say you're going to need a little bit of time to get this finished. You're not going to be able to get your vision board done in 20 minutes. I think you should take a few days to really think over, reflect on the past year, reflect on the goals that you really want to implement, reflect on what you really want to have in there. And then comes the fun part where you get to create your collage and you design the pretty collage. You just don't want to rush it. You want this to be a tool. This is not just artwork for your life. This is an actual tool that works with neuroscience and quantum physics and all of the law of attraction principles. So give it the time it deserves. Now, once you've created your collage, you might be the type that needs to look at it every day and is super helpful to make sure, okay, I'm looking at my goals. What direction am I heading? Make sure I'm aligned. I think it's important for some people. And in that case, I would have it as your phone wallpaper, your laptop wallpaper, print it out, put it somewhere you're going to look at every day, like in the bathroom or beside your bed. And then some people would rather have more of a put it away and check in with it here and there. Sometimes if we start to see the things that we're not doing every day, it starts to create this negative feeling like, oh, I'm never gonna get there. Ugh, I failed again. Ugh. If this is you and it does kind of make you feel bad about yourself if you're not 100% achieving all of your goals every single day and it starts to create this negativity bias, then I think it would be smart for you to keep it somewhere, have a date with yourself in your calendar like once a month or once a quarter to make sure you go and look at it and go check it and check in with yourself. If that approach works better for you, fine, but just don't forget that it exists. You didn't want to do all this work for nothing. So have a reminder set up somewhere. So there you go. Put on some vibey music, reflect, dive deep, and I can't wait to see you manifest all your goals.